How's it going out there, music maker? My name's Griffin, and in today's lesson we're going to be looking at the standard tune Angeline the Baker, but with a bit of a twist. We're going to be adding some cross-picking to this tune to make this more of a solo type arrangement, or something that could maybe fill out the sound of this tune when you're playing with your jam buddies or your band. Before we go ahead and dive into today's lesson, if you haven't had a chance, hit that subscribe button below and the bell notification button. That way you'll get notified whenever we upload a new lesson here to the Mandolin Secrets channel. Also, if you're interested in a more enhanced educational experience with things like PDFs of the sheet music and tablature for today's lesson, then head over to mandolinsecrets.com. There's a link below in the description that'll take you right there, and you can find out more information about Mandolin Secrets Academy, our online community of mandolin players just like you trying to make their way through the world of the mandolin. So let's talk more about this cross-picking technique before we dive into learning this version of Angeline the Baker. On today's tune, we're kind of using a very specific cross-picking pattern in certain areas of this tune to kind of flavor up long-held melody notes in Angeline the Baker. For those of you that have learned the simple melody version, you'll notice that there are a lot of notes in the tune where we hold them for either 2 beats or 4 beats. So cross-picking can be a really great way to kind of spice up some of those notes that would just be left hanging in the melody. So as far as that cross-picking pattern goes, we're going to be using what I call a reverse 3-3-2 pattern. If you're familiar with cross-picking on the mandolin, one of the most basic patterns that you'll see out there is what's called a 3-3-2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And a lot of times we start that pattern starting on a low string and ascending. But I said that we're doing a reverse 3-3-2 pattern here today, so that means we're actually going to be starting on higher strings and rolling backwards. This is kind of equivalent to what would be a reverse roll on the banjo, if you're familiar with banjo rolls. So the cross-picking pattern as we're using it today, I'm going to grab this B note on my A string here to make this a G chord, because we actually end up cross-picking on that note in this tune. So let's kind of run through that pattern real quick. We're going to start on our A string here and then descend 3 strings. So down, up, down, go back up to our A string, up, down, up, and then back to our A string, down, up. So putting that all together, it looks like this. There's another variation on that pattern that we use where instead of playing it on a G chord, we do it on a D chord. And actually all we have to do for that one is move our index finger down to the A note on the G string and then play the same set of strings that we were just doing. So if you kind of practice those 2 patterns right now, maybe pause the video and run through those really quick, that's going to give you a really solid foundation when it comes to tackling this version of Angeline the Baker that we're going to toss at you here in a second. One more thing that I want to mention is that we utilize in this arrangement of the tune what I just like to call the drone string technique. This works really well with cross-picking. It's not so much a cross-picking pattern itself, but a great way to kind of connect different cross-picking patterns when you're playing the mandolin. So, for example, in the first measure of this tune, the melody normally sounds like this. But instead of just playing those quarter notes like that, what I do is add an open D string as 8th notes in between each of those melody notes, kind of like this. So it gives the illusion of motion in the tune when in fact we're just kind of using the root note of the chord for that measure to kind of accompany ourselves as we're playing those melody notes. I kind of like to think of this as like the easiest, simplest way to add a little bit of self-accompaniment to your arrangements. If there's a drone string nearby, that utilizes one of the chord tones of the chord that you're supposed to be playing over in that measure. See about tossing some of that stuff into your playing. That's kind of how I really was able to, like I said, connect some of these cross-picking patterns, because melodies don't always fit so neatly in those 3-3-2 cross-pick patterns, and this drone string technique can be a really good way to, like I said, kind of bridge the gap between some of those melodies and cross-picking patterns that might not be such a great fit. Okay, my friend, I think that's enough yakking on this one. Let's go ahead and dive into the slow version of this tune. I'm going to give it to you at 100 beats per minute, and we're going to play this with a backing track here of acoustic guitar. Now, if 100 beats per minute seems to be too fast for you still, don't hesitate to hit that gear icon below and adjust the speed of the video down to one that's more appropriate for where you're at with your playing right now. Alright, let's check out that version of Angeline the Baker cross-picking at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, my friend, that is it for the cross-picking version of Angeline the Baker at 100 beats per minute. Let's ratchet that tempo up to 160 and see if we can tackle it there. Once again, if you had trouble with that last version, or you think this one might be a little too fast, don't hesitate to hit that gear icon below and adjust the speed of the video. Let's dive in. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, my friend, that is it for Angeline the Baker cross-picking for the mandolin. I hope that you've enjoyed this kind of intermediate embellishment of this tune, and I also hope that it gives you some inspiration for how to add drone strings or cross-picking patterns to other fiddle tunes that you know. It works really well on these kind of simple vocal melodies, so maybe check out some tunes that you or your jam friends kind of sing, and those would be good places to start to add these things to your playing. Before we get out of here, if you wouldn't mind dropping us a comment below and letting us know what you think of this lesson, and does cross-picking seem like something that you can utilize in your own playing? We use it in Bluegrass and old time a lot, but I'm interested to hear what the rest of you think out there in the Mandolin Secrets community. Alright, my friend, thanks so much for tuning into this one. We'll catch you in the next video.